from that. Now, one of the great things about doing what I do is when you come across other people's research in various disciplines and various specific areas, and it fits into what you're doing perfectly. And this is an example. Cosmic communication. There is now a whole area, and a fast emerging area, of research of the universe, which is basically given the heading of the electrical universe. Two of the great pioneers of it are Wallace Thornhill and David Talbot. And David Talbot will come up in relation to something else later on. And this is a great book. I don't think it's very easy to get. I didn't find it easy anyway, but it's a really great book. And it is explaining the electromagnetic nature of this universe with brilliant supporting evidence. Now, we are aware of the electricity in the atmosphere when we see lightning. What most people don't realize is when lightning has happened in the lower atmosphere, it actually continues up under different names like elves, sprites, tendrils, right out into beyond the Earth's field into the cosmos. And it's funny, mainstream science seems to think there are no electrical phenomena, but they say there are electromagnetic phenomena out there, and you can't have electromagnetism without electricity. Even someone who never took an exam in his life and left Crown Hill Secondary Modern in Leicester in 1966, something like that, at the age of 15, I can see that don't make sense. Things like tornadoes are fast-rotating electrical fields. That's why they appear so often when there are electrical storms in the atmosphere. The northern lights are electrical phenomena. The galaxy is moved by electrical forces, and as it moves, it itself is like a disk motor, creating other electrical forces. And this is what they say in the book, Electric Universe. The electrical force is about 1,000 trillion times more powerful than gravity. And it's clear when you look at it that it's not gravity that holds things together and holds planets in their orbits. It's electromagnetic forces, which will become very significant in stage 2, part 2 today, because if the planets of bodies are held in their orbits and held in some form of stability by electromagnetic forces, then anything that distorts those forces is going to cause those bodies to go walkabout, which has happened in this solar system in relatively recent times, which I'll get to that later. Now, this is mainstream science. 99.9%, 99 in fact, of the universe, the visible universe, is plasma. And plasma just happens to be the virtually perfect medium for electricity to pass through. One of the researchers into the electrical nature of the universe said, in the laboratory, plasma exhibits a lifelike ability to self-organize and to cope with the stresses of its electrical environment. Why can it lifelike self-organize? Because, like everything else, it is an expression of consciousness. It is an awareness. The thing about the electrical universe advocates is that they can replicate phenomena in space, in the universe, in the laboratory through things like the plasma focus device and things. Mainstream science can overwhelmingly not replicate their version of what's happening out there or why it's happening. Comets are electrically affected forces as they pass through an electrical universe, creating electrical phenomena. The sun is virtually entirely plasma. Why? Because it is a filterer and a processor of electricity in the universe. And things like solar flares are just massively greater examples of things like lightning. Now, the official mainstream version of the sun is that it has some nuclear core which passes heat out through a radiative zone and a convective zone and punches holes in, like they call sunspots, in the surface, and thus the more sunspots there are, the more the solar activity at the time. Well, there's a few things to that. First of all, there's no evidence of a radiative zone, and the convective zone is 1% of what it would need to be for that to be true. And also, if it's coming from the core and going outwards, why is the surface incredibly cooler than right out in the sun's atmosphere? Why? Because it's coming the other way. If you look at the sun in an ultraviolet level, there is this torus or donut around the sun, and it is gathering, bringing in electricity from the universal electrical field, because the universe operates electrically like we do, it operates vibrationally, it operates digitally, and it operates holographically, just as we do. And so, when it has taken in a very, very powerful amounts of electricity, it discharges them because it can't hold them anymore, just like lightning discharges in a very electrically powerful atmosphere. And it punches holes in the sun that we call sunspots. And therefore, the more electricity is being picked up by that torus, the more it is discharging, the more sunspots, the more solar activity can be measured by sunspots. And this is one of the cycles, and I'll just take you through this cycle. Global warming, yeah? Global warming, global warming, global warming, yeah? Global warming, yeah? Global warming, global warming, climate change, climate change, climate change. And there is another phenomena of the electrical plasma universe, and that is something called Langmuir sheaths, after a man called Irving Langmuir, who basically came up with the concept. And that is this. It's incredible, really, to explain this phenomena. When plasma of a certain electrical charge meets plasma of another electrical charge, they automatically create these sheaths which hold the different charges apart. And thus, a planet or a sun is an electrical phenomenon on one level, and therefore the plasma around it carries a unique electrical charge coming off that planetary body. Thus, we have the planetary energy fields, or magnetospheres, which are created by electrical phenomena which impregnates the plasma with a certain charge that's different to another charge, and thus we have magnetospheres. And we have magnetospheres in a way called the auric field. And we, as human beings, are interacting on this electrical level, as we are on the digital, holographic, and vibrational level, with this cosmic internet. The electric universe that these people are brilliantly coming up with is one level of the cosmic internet, the interaction of information. And now we can start to see, I'll get into this later, how technology like HAARP in Alaska, which bounces radio waves of great power off the ionosphere, etc., can hack into this electrical system and change the weather and create things like earthquakes. That's what it's doing, it's hacking into these systems. And of course, the brain is working on an electrical level. That's mainstream science. But the body, the genetic structure itself, on one level is massively electrical. And on that level, we're interacting all the time with the electrical universe, picking up information from it and posting information on it with our thoughts and emotions. Another thing with the plasma electrical universe is as electricity is passing through plasma, these are called Birkeland currents, the phenomenon automatically makes these electrical forces twirl around each other, and as they create electromagnetic fields which hold the electrical forces in place. It's bloody genius. Probably somebody did that, that's why, but this is the way it is. This is the double helix nebula, a very massive version of that. But these Birkeland currents are tiny, 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 going up to enormous, beyond our imagination in size, on the electrical level of the universe. And like I say, there you go, and there you go. DNA. DNA is another expression, as above, so below, of this phenomena that I'm talking about here. That's why it looks as it does. That's why the electrical level of the universe and brain cell activity, because we are interacting with it. We are different, we are a smaller version of the whole for reasons I'll come to. And of course the heart, electromagnetic, electrical field, is also interacting with the greater universe. And we are doing that through the energy lines of acupuncture, with the chi energy, that's doing the same. I'll talk about that in a second. By the way, this photograph was taken the moment someone told him that Barack Obama had won the Nobel Peace Prize. That was when it was taken. But, and of course, the Earth is also interacting with the greater field. This is what ley lines, meridian lines, the lines of force are, that interpenetrate and go all around the planet, and where lots of them cross, massive vortexes appear. And it was at those places that the ancients used to put their great standing stone circles, because these were places of communication, transmission and receiving information. That's why they used crystalline rock, for that reason. And if you look at the animal world, they haven't been to school. They don't watch the BBC and all that stuff and Fox News. Therefore, they've not been desensitized from these greater connections as we have. This is what we've been happening. We've been desensitized from them, so we lose an influence of them when we go into our little five-sense world. This is why animals can sense things like earthquakes and weather and all these other things that humans in their present state can't, but should in their natural state. It's because they've not been desensitized from it. So, in terms of reality and the conspiracy that I'm going to expose on a massive scale today, we've been living a false identity. That's how they do it. They take infinite awareness, all that is, has been, and ever can be, and they turn it into Charlie Smith, who drives a bus, who identifies himself with Charlie Smith driving the bus. That's how they do it. They give us a false identity. It's a gigantic hoax. Hello, mate, how are you doing? Oh, it's all right. Kids are doing well. All right, what's been going on? Oh, they've gone to university. Oh, really? They're good programming. Then, yeah, I thought that was good. Yeah, that'd be all right. What about you, mate? Oh, my life's in a terrible mess. I don't know what I'm going to do. All that's going on. All that's going on. While him and anybody like them is infinite awareness. All that has been, is, and ever can be. That is the scale of the twisting, distorting of our sense of identity that this conspiracy has visited upon the human family. And this image indicates two things. First of all, the universe that we see, the created universe, the world of vibration and electricity and all that stuff. And then there's that, the real center of everything. Anyone that goes into deep meditative states, and I've been here using ayahuasca on occasion in 2003 in Brazil. Wonderful place that is. And what you do is you go beyond the senses, you go beyond the illusion, and you go into this place that mystics and people have talked about for as long as humanity has recorded itself. You go into a place of stillness and silence. And people think, again, everything is distorted, everything is upside down. People think of stillness and silence as nothingness, when what it is all possibility waiting to manifest. All that is, has been, and ever can be. What does that phrase really mean? It means all possibility waiting to manifest. That's where the heart takes you, when you go beyond the illusion. That's the true self. What we're experiencing now that we think is all of us is merely one tiny, tiny infinitesimal experience within all possibility. All possibility, that's what that is. All possibility, all potential is there, waiting to manifest. All there is and ever can be, all possibility. It's everywhere and nowhere. You can't have everywhere and nowhere, you've got to have one or the other. In all possibility, all there is, has been and ever can be, you must be everywhere and nowhere, or you're not in a state of all possibility. Everything and nothing, you can't have everything and nothing, you've got to have one or the other. You must have everything and nothing in a state of all possibility. The no thing. People think, no thing. What can you hear? No thing. So there's nothing there because of the way we're manipulated to perceive reality. If we can't see it, touch it, taste it, hear it, it cannot exist. Well, they're just illusory creations. Okay. The silence is not nothing. It is nothing because it's all a possibility, so it's nothing, but it's also everything. So here's all possibility in the silence and the stillness. And then I start to speak, and I've pulled one possibility, vibrational possibility, out of all possibility, and then I stop speaking and it goes back into all possibility to manifest in another way, in some other form. So we've lost and had twisted the state that is the core of us, still and silent, all existence. Everything else, form, is that which is created out of all possibility. There are some possibilities pulled into form out of all possibility. And these worlds are created by vibration. They can manifest audibly as sound vibration, but the sound is just a vibration. And these worlds work on different frequencies. So like radio stations can share the same space without interfering with each other because they're on different frequencies, so these worlds can share the same space without interfering with each other because they're on different frequencies. And only when they're very, very close is there interference and the possibility of crossover, and that will bring us to section 2 today. So this is cymatics. And what cymatics does is use sound, vibration, in different frequencies to create geometrical forms from particles which without the sound, the vibration, are just all over the place, random. Then suddenly there's a sound and woo, they move into these amazing shapes. This is how matter is created out of the void. This is as an example of it here. This is just sound moving particles around to create form, cymatics. And when they change the vibration, they change the created form. Going to be massively important in section 2, this. And so this reality is just a frequency range, interpenetrated by other frequency ranges, some which interfere with it, most that are so far away do not even begin to interfere with it. And so we live in our little world, but interpenetrating it are many other worlds that are very different to this one. And our frequency range, this is crucial to understanding so much that's coming today, is tiny. I don't go with the dark matter, dark energy stuff. I just talk about the visible and invisible universe. But this is what mainstream science says. Of that which exists in the universe, that which we perceive, the electromagnetic field up to a point, and visible light. Visible light is the only frequency range that we can pull into a world that the conscious mind can perceive. Everything else is beyond it. And the electromagnetic spectrum is 0.005%, mainstream science says, of what exists in the universe. Some say it's a bit more, but not much. Visible light, which is the only frequency range that we can pull into a reality we experience with the conscious mind, is a fraction of the electromagnetic field. So, as someone rightly said, humans are basically blind in relation to what we can pull into a conscious reality from what actually exists in the universe that we're experiencing. Thus, this is our world. We can't even perceive through the conscious mind these other levels of the electromagnetic spectrum which technology can. So we have a visible universe which is tiny. And we have an invisible universe which is invisibly infinitive, infinite. And thus what we call a world, what we call the world that we think we're living in, is a tiny, almost infinitesimal frequency band. And if we don't know that, but that which is manipulating this world does, we are in an extraordinarily powerful state of potential manipulation. And the focus of attention I keep talking about, that this society, this crazy controlled society wants us in, is that focus of attention wants us only in that tiny band of frequency, visible light, and not to access the inspiration and insight beyond it through this and the greater mind that will give us a greater fix on what this visible light really is, because it ain't what we think it is. So, if we come into this reality and we hold a connection to the greater self beyond it, what I call consciousness, then we've got everything we need. We've got the five senses and the body-mind to directly interact with this frequency band and to get a fix on that level of what's going on and to interact with it. If consciousness, the greater self, wanted to interact with this frequency band, it couldn't hold this because it's on a completely different frequency. So the outer shell, the body that we take on, is within the frequency band that we want to interact with, and thus we can pick things up and they stay in our hands. And so we've got everything we need. When that level of us sees information from the news or politicians or whatever, this level, beyond the illusion, is filtering in insight and intuitive knowing that goes, it's a load of bollocks, isn't it? Yeah, right? But if we don't have that filter, then this can believe it, and does. And if we get disconnected from that, and we only have this, where are we going to look to get a fix on who we are, where we are, and what's happening in the world? We're not going to go there because we don't accept that exists. This is our reality. Where are we going to go? We're going to go in this direction. And what's coming back? The newspapers, the education system, the politicians, the banks, and all the other stuff. This is what the conspiracy is. Isolate them in the five senses, then program the five-sense level of reality with a sense of self in the world that turns them into our slaves. That's the bloody story. And once that happens, we become bewildered humanity. Where am I? What's going on? Open. You see what's going on. Time and space. Oh, it's got to be time and it's got to be space. But it's not, it's illusion. It's a decoded illusion. This is why when you go into the heart and through out of the illusion, there is no time and there is no space, because it's part of the construct. See, if you put a disk, in, like a computer game, information into a computer, up on the screen comes decoded information that has scene following scene, time, and it has depth and perspective, space, and yet it's just information on a disk being decoded. And once we get caught in the time illusion, and my goodness me, the whole of society is based on time. What's the time? What's the time? Is that the time? Oh my God, no time. Oh. And that which is the greater self beyond the illusion does not happen or operate within time and space. It's just a construct. It is outside of the construct. Thus, if that inside the construct, the experiencing level, is caught in time and space, at the passage of linear time, then it is already disconnecting on that level alone from that which is no time. And people say, well, And that's the idea. And people say, well, there's got to be time. But there's not got to be time. There's got to be decoded time. I mean, look at it. Look at the time we have. I mean, there's an invisible line in the ocean. And if you go one way, you go into yesterday. And if you go that way, you go into tomorrow. And it's not even bloody straight. Look at it. Hello? Is that little island in the Pacific? Yeah. Do you want to be in yesterday or tomorrow? Well, time's real. It's real. And like I say, the whole of society is based on time. We're controlled by time. We are enslaved by time. Much of the slavery is due to time. But there is no time. Oh, but David, there must be time, right? Because there's past and there's future. Oh, really? No. There is one now moment in which all exists. This struggles to understand that because it's locked into to the illusion. Okay. When you're talking about the past, where are you when you're thinking about the past? Well, I'm in the now, yeah, okay. Okay, when you're talking about the future, where are you? Well, I'm in the now, yes. The future and the past are merely mental projections from the now. And we construct these sequences which we call time. It's not time, it's the perception of time. It's like a movie on a DVD. You put the DVD in the movie in the DVD rather, well, DVD movie in the DVD player, or what the bloody well it is. Anyway, you put it in there, and you play it. Now, after you've watched, say, 2 or 3 scenes, those scenes you've watched are now your past. The scene you're watching is your present, and the scenes you've yet to watch is your future. But the whole story is already on the disc, and your perception of past and future is dictated only by that part of the disc that the laser is reading at that moment, i.e. you are observing. William Blake, great English poet, writer, artist, said, "Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." There is no time. There is only the perception of time, and it's one of the greatest constructs of the illusion. And it's interesting because, again, talking about this for years, and very recently, the University College London did a study, and they came up with this concept of fluid time. And what they found was, when top sports people, like tennis players, are waiting for a serve, or someone in baseball is waiting for a pitch, or a footballer's waiting to react to something, they start decoding time in a different way. They decode it in a way that makes time to them pass slower. Because it's illusion, it's just the way we decode it. Therefore, I went to Wimbledon once, the tennis, years ago when I was at the BBC. And I only watched one game, but I'm standing there and I'm watching this ball come across the net and I can't see it. It's like a blur at best, and there's this person going, boom, boom. I'm thinking, I can't see it, and he's hitting it down the line. Because this is where great sports people come from. They decode time in a different way. Therefore, we say of great footballers, they seem to have more time than anyone else because they're decoding it differently. Time is an illusion. And it's used to control us so powerfully.